Shalom. This is Jean Bonds, the Teachable Spirit with Heartscape Journey. Is your life like Goldilocks? I'm sure you know the story about Goldilocks and the three bears. Goldilocks was in the woods and saw the house of the three bears who had taken a walk into the woods. She went inside to see what was there, and she discovered porridge. One bowl was too hot, one bowl of porridge was too cold, and one was just right, so she ate the whole thing. She went to sit in a chair. One chair was too hard, one chair was too soft, and one chair was just right, so she sat in it until she got sleepy. She went to look upstairs and found three beds. One bed was way too big and hard, and one bed was too fluffy, and one bed was just right, so she fell asleep. Imagine how the bears felt when they came home to discover their porridge was gone and this little girl sleeping in the tiny bed. The point I want to make is that she was looking for just right. And I equate just right to sufficiency. In 2017, I sold my house, which was 1,300 square feet, and moved into a very tiny room in a very tiny apartment with my dear friend. I had a nice home. It was decent size, and it was too much because I go to Kenya. So let me tell you about that project. I made a decision in February, and I spent that whole time until I put the house up for sale in May, because I couldn't put the house up for sale until after I came back from Kenya. So I went to Kenya in April. So think about this. I had the project of getting rid of all my stuff of a 1,300 square foot home, and had the project of going to Kenya. And two other people went with me that year. When I got home, I had to get everything together to put my home up for sale. It sold in 3 days. I moved in with my dear friend on June 1st. I loved living with my friend. It just was a wonderful time and delightful. However, my mother called me. She was dying of cancer and wanted my help. So I left my friend and came to yet another very spacious home. You can see now that how my life is like Goldilocks. I had a home that was big, then I had a room that was small, and literally when I moved into my friend's home, I got rid of everything and was able to put all of my belongings into back of my El Camino. By the time the estate was settled, I'd had the opportunity to be in that very large home for a couple of years, and the yard, and the irrigation system, and the trees. I had a conversation with a friend, and she said, you know, I think that if you were in your own space, you would be happier. And I knew she was right. You know, it's really hard when you have something given to you that you know is beautiful and right, but it's too much. It's exhausting to care for, right? It's a difficult decision. I decided to sell my home, my parents' home, which now was my home, to the neighbors, who are dear, dear people, and had expressed an interest before my mother was buried in the home. So I knew they were available to purchase the home, and I wanted to sell it to good people. And I, had observed the way that they worked around their own home and knew that they would care for it. From the moment that he came to look at the property until the money was in my bank was 47 days. Then I looked and looked and looked for a place to live, and nothing satisfied me. I had had the experience of this beautiful home when I was in Graham. I had the experience of living with my dear friend in one tiny bedroom, which was wonderful. And I had the experience of living in my parents' home, which they'd lived in for 27 years, which was also wonderful. I looked everywhere. I couldn't find anything. And finally I was like, what am I thinking? So my parents had a mobile home with this 3-room addition on it, which was, we called it downstairs because the mobile homes are up a little higher. And this one was down 2 steps to the floor, the ground level. And when I first moved in to this property, I had begun painting and caulking and basically renovating that section of the home. It was complete by the time I went to sell it. In fact, I had moved up into the rest of the area of the house and had done the other main bathroom and a small bedroom. I'd done a little work in the kitchen, and then I got stuck in the master bedroom. And I couldn't go any further. I was just like, oh, I am done with this. So I thought, I went next door, I talked to the neighbor, and I said, how about if I rent from you that small section of the home that has its own entrance and its own bathroom, etc.? Oh, no problem. We think that would be fabulous. We were going to do that anyway. So, do you love this? This, my friends, is Goldilocks. This is my life, Goldilocks. I am living in my parents' house, renting the small 3-room apartment from the neighbors. It's just delightful. So what's the beauty of that? The sufficiency of it is incredible because I can come and go as I please. I can go to Kenya if I like. I don't have to mow the lawn. I don't have to be concerned about the trees. I don't have to turn on the irrigation. I mean, it's something. It's a studio apartment, essentially. So my bed and closet are all in one space. Then I have a complete bathroom, which I use a bit for my kitchen. And I have another room which is plumbed for a kitchen, but never got finished. So there's where I have my sewing equipment, my computer, and a small refrigerator. I am telling you every day, I've never loved paying the rent as much as I do now. And the joy of being in a space I renovated that's up to my standards, and the opportunity to watch the evolution of how these neighbors have cared for this property and their honor of me because they knew my parents, right? And so they respect me as they respected them. It's just phenomenal. The other component of it is that I had an El Camino of 13 years, and it was my grandfather's. I decided that why should I keep it? I have my parents' car that I can drive every day, which I love driving, by the way. My mother left blue and she got a red car. I swear she bought it for me. And then I had purchased a baby grand piano, so I had to do a lease with option for that one. Those were some tough decisions in the process of moving. And the gloriousness of sufficiency, of it being just right, like Goldilocks. I cannot express to you the delight. Is your life like Goldilocks? Is your life sufficient? Do you have things that are just right in your life? Well, can you admit to yourself if they're not? And it's okay, because there was a purpose for that home that I had. I lived there for 15 years. My children were with me, and they needed rooms, and the freedom of not having those responsibilities is pretty incredible. Not having to mow the lawn, care for the property. It's really delightful. I am telling you, there is something about sufficiency, about it being just right, that the joy of that is so generative. Do you have a favorite project that you're working on and you would like to see fulfilled in the world? I am a person who assists people with projects. I'm a DIY girl myself. As I have shared with you in this video, you can see the number of projects that I have been involved with. Not small projects, although I have plenty of those, trust me. Huge projects that I did. What project are you currently working on that you know if you could put into the world, it would bring such joy to the people that it would benefit? What I would love is to share with you my life of sufficiency by offering you a half hour of conversation. If you are interested, then please put a yes or direct message me, and let's chat and see how your project can evolve to the next level. And another project that I have is this beautiful podcast I've created, Heartscape Journey. I would so love for you to take advantage of it as a pay what you can. Simply, if you are not able to afford anything at all, you may help yourself. I will put the link in the comments. Thank you for listening. so that I could share with you the gloriousness of what it's like to have a life like Goldilocks. This is Jean Bonds, the Teachable Spirit,